Okay. Hi there. Hi, everyone. Fred here once more to talk about something that I'm going through my transition through my life in relation to transgender folks. So, what I want to talk about today is the concept and the umbrella term of what is a trans person or a trans woman and what does the umbrella term include. So, first thing, I did not know that being trans included non-binary folks. So that for me was a little bit like, but why can't they just be non-binary? Um, and then the second thing is, trans woman is just one type of trans. You have a non-binary person, you have a gender fluid person, you have a two-spirit. So you have a different kind of forms, which for me is a bit confusing to be in a trans group but not trans like other people. And this is where this whole thing came up like a couple days ago, a couple weeks ago, maybe even, where I met some of these different trans people and I was just like questioning myself. And then I was questioning if they're really trans, you know? I'm like judging them a little bit, which is bad. I should not do that. So, what I got to eventually is that there are people that are different. Some people are a bit more feminine, some people are a bit more masculine, some people will have things in between. So, they just have a fluidity in their gender, which is completely fine. Um, it just caused me issues because of the concept like, I cannot be treated like you if you're a non binary person and I'm a trans woman. So here's where the issues actually arise for me. So I did some digging and I was thinking about this, and I came to realize that even within the trans woman label, there are a bunch of different types of trans women, right? So it's not just like one type trans woman, and every trans woman is the same. They like the same thing, they do the same thing. That's not really the case, and that also got me a little sad to be honest, because I thought like I would be meeting these people and have them understand what I'm going through and wanting the same things. Like I've met some trans people who were not into nails. I've met some trans people who just really care about big breasts but nothing about like their hips. I have met trans people who don't want a bottom surgery, and it's just like, who am I in relation to all of you? And who are you in relation to me and my transition? Right? So, long story short, I started looking at trans people differently from this moment on. And I would put myself as a trans woman who does not really care about passing as a Barbie doll. Like, I want to be maybe perceived as a woman or as a feminine person in general. Like, I'll never be a biological woman. Keep your comments, whatever guy, girl, believing in Jesus Christ, all that. I know. You keep commenting on this. Like, I don't care. I don't care. Really don't. It's not going to change anything. Like, I came out regardless of all of you. You're just making things complicated. Why would you do that? Anyway, I did meet some trans people who are kind of obsessed with this idea of I need to pass as sexy Barbie cute doll, and I want all these men to spend money on me because I'm pretty. I need to be spent money on. If that makes any sense, I don't know. It's a bit weird. I don't do that. I'm successful. I'm doing a PhD in cognitive linguistics. I speak languages. I have my own business, which is not pornography. I'm teaching accent reduction and pronunciation in English for people who are interested in this because it's related to my field, and I would probably end up doing research in relation to second language learning, or even it might be queer language. I can do whatever I want. I choose and I decide. But not everyone wants the same thing. Like my idea of womanhood revolves around strong, independent women who strive and fight for their rights and who want to go against the current. And they have a very strong social circle and sisterhood. I really like that. Um, on the other hand, some trans women don't have that idea of womanhood. They maybe are stuck with this very young, sexualized, maybe even pedophilic idea of a girl besides a woman. I mean, you could see that in a lot of way. Some of the content you see from trans woman is in the media, in the like the videos and the jobs they sometimes do, which is not as common for the majority of women or trans men even, right? So there is like this sexualization happening in a lot of um, people in that sense, which kind of made me feel a little bit upset because that kind of sends a bad image about what women are, and this just reinforcing this toxic masculine idea of what a woman is and should be: pretty, and that's it. Um, I also met some trans women who were into maybe um, passing so much, right? So they don't really care about what they're feeling as much as how are people reacting to my existence. And they would get very upset if someone maybe genders them differently or uses a different pronoun or um, reminds them of who they were before the transition, which if you're a trans woman, you should accept this reality and you should know who you are. Like, you can look like a woman, but you need to understand you're always going to be a trans woman. Maybe in the future you can have a surgery, you can have a uterus, but for now, you will have, if you decide to have a surgery, you will have a hole that leads to nowhere, but it's connected to some nerve tissue, will get you pleasure, and you will have interaction with males or females and have a normal sexual life to a certain extent. But on the deeper level, don't forget where you came from, but don't hate it that much also, because there's a lot to learn and there's a lot to understand about yourself and accept yourself. And taking this step forward doesn't mean to ignore everything before that, right? So a lot of people get really angry when they're reminded of who they were. Maybe there are a lot of traumas, issues with that, and this is something that they need maybe to handle with a professional psychologist, therapist, psychotherapist, whatever you want to call it, right? Other type of trans women that actually were a bit kind of like, for me, were like the topping trans women, right? And who don't want the bottom surgery and they're still topping, men or women, using different labels. For example, they would still be topping women and call themselves lesbians, and they will still be topping men and I don't know what they would call themselves, but I met one or two of these who were very content with their package, and I am not content with anything down there. So it's also interesting to see their perspective. I kind of learned something about sexuality from them. It's like we can be different. It's okay to be different, right? What for me is the matter is like the label is one, but the people are completely different. So how can you have one label for a completely different set of groups of people? Which for me, as a scientist who uses structure and organization, is a bit confusing because that should not be the case. Maybe in the future we will have different labels for different trans people, but for now, it works. You also have the non-binary trans person, so they're maybe of a she, they pronoun. And I met two of these trans people, and actually they gave me a weird vibe because there's a strong masculine energy in it, thus the they part of their identity. But for me, it was just like you're coming off really strong and really intense. And me, as a person who's a bit more on the shy side and quiet side, I just get really quiet around this type of person. And if I get meet a guy, it's kind of the same thing. I just get really quiet. They can say whatever they want, they can do whatever they want. And then if I get comfortable, I'm just going to say, this is creeping me out. This is making me uncomfortable. I'm leaving. But like, I'm not trying to force them to do anything or talk over them or trying to win them over with my loud screaming and strong body language, right? So this is where that was a bit different. Needless to say, none of these trans women are actually considered maybe men or non-binary or whatever. They're still trans women. They're still trans women. There's just differences within the trans community that I did not see. And I kind of, it opened my eyes to all the issues also we're seeing on the news in relation to like what society expects trans women to be or to look like, and then what trans people are actually. which I think we need to be educated into. Trans women can come in all different shapes, sizes, and forms, just like women can come in all shapes, sizes, and forms. Why is it that nowadays, at least here in Spain, women are allowed to be masculine, to be wearing certain type of clothes, not wearing makeup, joining certain type of sports, and showing a little bit more competitiveness and masculine energy, but this is not allowed for a trans woman to a certain extent? I maybe do not want that to be part of my identity, which is completely fine. But some people really are like this who are trans women, who maybe are a bit more fiery, who are a bit more passionate about their sports or about their work, and they're talk in a different way. Do we need to learn to be women, or do we just become ourselves? I am being myself. The label just came along. Like, I was non-binary for 2 years, just letting myself be. And then because of that, I started realizing where this was headed. And I had dysphoria with my body, with certain things with my clothes that just kept bringing whenever I started wearing men's clothes. And I started realizing, like, wow, this is where I am now. My whole wardrobe is just women's clothes. I wear makeup everywhere I go. I'm getting rid of my facial hair. I'm trying to do squats to get a bigger body and trying to get my upper body smaller. And I'm definitely not trying to be this aggressive fighting person to stay safe, because I kind of gave up on that idea. And that kind of made me dedicate more time on finding myself. I don't like violence. I don't like fighting verbally or physically. So I'm just being myself. And the label came along with it. But you do have the other way around. You have people who found the label and they mold themselves into that, but they choose the maybe societal label of what woman is. That might be problematic because there is not one type of woman, but society prefers one type of woman over other. A hippie woman is not the same as a businesswoman, is not the same as a housewife. There is preference in society. So keep in mind with your holy journey, and be yourself, be careful, be kind, and comment on this video what you think if you've met different trans people. Also, subscribe. It will really make my day. I'll be sharing things. Maybe I'll meet some of you. I'm talking to a lot of people who comment. So it's really like I want the social interaction to happen. So here I am, gonna go out looking cute, hopefully. I received some really, really cute comments yesterday from women and men, for example. And that makes my day. Even though maybe I'm not fully represented or representing as what a woman is with my body, but I'm working on being myself more and not being afraid of showing more feminine energy in public. And this is kind of where the boundaries for me before. I was always afraid of showing feminine energy because I've been harassed, abused because of showing a little bit of femininity. So I kind of put a metal bar on top of that door and just shut it closed, not to be opened again. But now we're opening it. There's just dust everywhere, so it's going to take a long time to just be ourselves and not worry about all those weird people who just come there and just start telling you what they think and their opinions about who you are and what you should be and how you should be ashamed of yourself and believe in certain gods. You just listen to them and say, okay, that's your opinion. You're allowed to have that. Was that necessary? Not for me. It's not going to do anything. So I hope you have a good weekend. I'll see you later.